Okay, hey, it's Patdees, and we're at Thursday Night Live. Thank everybody for coming by. Myself, along with Kimberly, Borderline Hoarderish, Destinie, the Shamrock Pixie, and our special guest tonight is John Johnson from Nevermore Antiques. We're going to talk about tonight opening a retail location. How about we'll start with Kimberly. Introduce yourself, and you want to say hello to people in the chat?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly. My YouTube channel is Borderline Hoarderish, where hoarding is only cool if you can sell it for a profit. I will say hello to a few people. What's up, Craig, Landshark Picker, Anita Benita. Hello, my beautiful friend, Big Red Joshua. What's up, you? Tommy, the Bargain Effect. Hello, sir. And Shamrock Pixie. Well, she's on the panel. And I think that's it so far, I see. Where'd everybody go? No, Pat just disappears. I'm not hijacking this show, folks. It's not this week.
Well, why don't you tell people your channel and what you do and introduce yourself?
Okay, well, I can do that. Well, I introduced myself already for that part, but I am a reseller, a mom, and I live life with a pacemaker. So there you go. Quick intro about myself.
And Destinie?
My name is Destinie. I am the Shamrock Pixie, and my channel is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You never know what you're going to get.
Okay. And I see even What the Hells has joined us, and Laura L is saying she loves my hair, and I appreciate that. But hey, tonight we brought on John Johnson. John has his channel Nevermore Antiques. If you guys aren't subscribed to him, in the description below will be a link to his channel. And if he types something in the chat, do you have a computer in front of you, John?
I sure do. I'm on my laptop.
Yeah, you could just type something there, and you hit those three dots to the right. He wrote the word test. You guys can subscribe to his channel. And Dave, what am I? I'm not all dressed up. Some people are wondering why I have the spirit of Christmas this week, because we were celebrating Kimberly's birthday on Monday, so I still have that left up, from that. So that's why that's up. So, but why don't we get to the things with John and start out? And John, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience selling on eBay?
Well, for me, I've sold on eBay for a very long time. My first experience online, I used to buy and sell on a website called cityauction.com. It's no longer in business anymore. I actually bought a motherboard off there and ended up selling a few things on that website. And I really liked it. And I was like, I wonder if there's any other websites out there. So I typed in online auctions. And eBay came up, and this was back in 1996 or 1997. And I registered an account, and I started selling stuff on there. And I sold under multiple accounts. Back in the day, I was only 16, 17 years old, and you could run up $10 worth of fees on an account, and I would start another account. And so somewhere out there's like 5 or 6 accounts from 1997 that I wish I had the username and password to, because they would probably be pretty valuable today. But so I started selling on there back in '97, and that was back in the Wild West days when almost anything would go. You could sell just about anything on eBay at that point, and people sold anything.
So you've been on eBay since 1997?
Yes. My current account that I have now is 1998, I believe. Nevermore Antiques, and then I have my other Show Me Pickers, and I believe it was in early 2000s. But I had registered a couple different accounts so that I could sell. I didn't have any way to pay. I was too young, so I didn't have a credit card, so I couldn't pay the fees. So I had to register a new account. And then in 1998, I was finally old enough to open up my own checking account. And then I was able to keep the current account that I'm on. And we've got like 24,000 feedback. I think we're about $100,000 shy of $1 million on that account.
Wow. Now, when you had started, you weren't doing it full time, right? You were doing something else and doing it part time, or?
Well, when I first started, I was in high school. I've been graduated for 20 years. I graduated 21 years. I graduated in 1998, and so for a while, I did sell on eBay. It was one of my only sources of income, and and I didn't have to have, like in the beginning, I had to have a checking account because nobody paid with PayPal. They just sent you checks and money orders. So
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I'd get checks and money orders, and I'd get only postal money orders so I could take them to the post office and cash them there at the post office for small amounts.
Right. Now, what were you selling back in 1998? I mean, you know, what happens, like with myself, I was interested in baseball cards and toys, stuff that I couldn't afford as a kid. And then those were the things I was interested in buying and selling online.
Back in that time, I played a lot of Magic the Gathering. I've been playing Magic the Gathering since about 96, 95, whenever Ice Age came out. For any of you nerds out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'd sell Magic cards on there. I worked for the high school, and they threw away computers. This is a funny story. I'm an OG dumpster diver. We had a bunch of CRT monitors, and these were large CRT monitors, probably something like a 24-inch monitor at the time. Well, we used them, and they went out, and they had them on a long trailer to haul them off to the recycling center. Well, I went over there one night, and I just worked for the school, so I just loaded up 5 of them into my car and took them home, posted them on eBay for parts or repair that they didn't work, and sold all 5 of them to Hawaii. That guy paid a lot of money in shipping back then, and never got a complaint from the guy. I don't know what he did with them. He must have got them and was able to fix them. But back then, those were high-dollar monitors. I think I got $150 a piece out of them, and they were probably like $15, $20 to ship, which back in 1998, 99, that was a lot of money. Be nice today if you could ship something to Hawaii for that cost. But I ended up making good money on it. So it's just whatever I could scrounge up. I've had experience with auctions since I was 12, 11 years old. I used to be the table guy at a local auction. I would be the guy that would hold the item up, and I'd be like, oh, we got the auctioneer would be like, what do you got there, John? I'd be like, oh, I've got a Rayovac flashlight from the 1950s, no batteries, it's in really good shape, and I'd hold it up, and the auctioneer would go, give me 5, give me 5, give me 6, give me 6, give me 7, give me 8, give me 8, give me 8, give me 9, and then like sold, and I'd be the guy that would walk and deliver it. So working at the table, I was the guy that could sit up there and look at the item real good. I'd look it over and be like, man, that's a nice one of those. That's a nice Rayovac flashlight, no dings in it, 1950s flashlight. Yeah, I'll give $2 for it, and I'd win it. And that's the kind of stuff that I would take home, and that's the kind of stuff that I would sell on eBay. I was selling antiques and collectibles and glassware and stuff like that back when there was some real value to like glassware.
And I mean, back in high school, I mean, what give us an example of like your best, something that really stuck out, like, wow, I sold that for X amount and I only paid. Do you remember like one of your
probably
your first big thing?
I remember the first thing I sold was a little salt and pepper shaker, and I sold it for a couple bucks, and I was like, holy cow, this is the coolest thing ever. And that was back when I didn't even have a digital camera. I just did a description of it and uploaded the item, no pictures, on eBay in the beginning, because nobody had digital cameras unless you took pictures of it with a film camera And I did that on some stuff. I take pictures of it with the film camera, have it developed at an hour photo place, come home or take it to school, scan the images into a scanner, and upload the images from my work computer, because I worked for an internet service provider called Minds. I was their reference desk guy. I was the guy that set up the accounts when people came in. And anyways, I would do that, but then that was just too much money, too much headache. Unless it was a high dollar item, I didn't fool with that. And then my world changed. My mom gave me the money, a couple $100, and I went and bought like a 640 by 480 digital camera from Walmart back in probably maybe 99. And it was a couple $100, and that changed my eBay world. That was just like flipping the light on. And then I met my wife, and I got married and got a full-time job. So eBay kind of took a nosedive at that point, but I always did it. But I didn't do it full-time anymore.
So you said your sales took a nosedive?
No, my listing did, because I got married. You know, when you get married, other things are keeping you preoccupied, and exactly. Married life and stuff like that. And but I always sold on eBay. In fact, for a while, I actually sold on Amazon. I sold on Amazon. Golly, I sold on Amazon probably 2001, 2002, whenever it, you know, in its early years.
Right. Were you part of the first initial book craze? Because that's what my mom jumped on, was the book craze of Amazon, when Amazon first became kind of hot.
Toys and stuff. I was doing retail arbitrage before it even had a name. I'd go out and I'd find stuff at Goodwills or resale shops that was new, and I'd do fulfilled by myself, because they didn't have FBA back then. And it was a totally different world. You would just type in the barcode, it would pull it up, you would put the condition, and you would be done, and you'd move on to the next item. But I made one simple mistake back then, and it was a stupid mistake, but I was 20-something years old, and I thought I was giving good customer service, and that was the end of my Amazon. Right.
I'll be honest, John. I was doing it 5 years ago too, because I didn't even understand what the risk was doing drop shipping, because I thought, hey, in a sense, what I felt I was doing was what everyone calls retail arbitrage. I just thought, hey, I was finding a product for somebody and having the ability to flip it and make $1 or $2, until I got the warning letter from Amazon saying, you know, you're buying too much and shipping it out, drop shipping it, that, you know, don't do it or we're going to suspend your account. And it was a lot of work to kind of play that game, to sometimes make $1 or $2. Now, what I was doing is when Minecraft Legos were out and they were very popular, I was going to like the local Barnes and Nobles, and you know, I was just amazed that you could go out and buy this stuff for $20, and I was listing it for $30. And even after fees, I was making $5 or $6, but I was selling the stuff quicker than before I even got home. Yeah. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, this stuff is going more for like 40. I remember going to Florida that year and having to scramble in Orlando area and find different things to ship out at the Celebration post office, because I didn't want to disappoint the people, and I had the sale. And I sold about $14,000 worth of stuff in about 6-7 weeks right before Christmas, and I made like $3 grand. I had made enough to pay for my trip to Florida, and I was like, wow. But I knew I had a hot item. In other words, the stuff that was those certain toys or those certain DVDs that people were buying for Christmas. It wasn't common stuff, you know, like a shaver or a household item. But, you know, I knew that there was potential. I actually even worked for Amazon one summer, and I saw the potential of people, what they were buying and just what the convenience was. I honestly wished I had remembered when the market had crashed back in 2000 and the stock had dropped down to $5. And here we're looking at Amazon now, $1,800. That had we put some money in back then, we would have done much better than doing the drop shipping on Amazon.
Or even reselling in general.
Right, exactly. So
I played the market too. I invested in a company when I was about 21 years old called Indusman Energy. It was Trans-Euro Energy. Later, they had a management change, and I invested an initial. I bought it as a penny stock, and it went up to $3 and something a share. And I was dumb, and the guy told me to hold on to it, that I was going to be rich, and I didn't. And I listened. I ended up selling it at about $1.50 a share, so I still made a good amount of money, but I didn't make anything like I would have made being able to sell it at my initial $3. It was about $3.25 is when I wanted to sell it, and it went up to $3.50. So I thought the guy was telling the truth, and then after about 2 or 3 months, it was down at about $1.75, and at about $1.50 I sold. Still made money, but I lost. I mean, literally lost more than half of my my profit out of that investment. So, stock market, you can make a lot of money. Selling online, you can make a lot of money, but it's about knowing what to buy, when to buy, and when to sell. They're both very similar games.
Right, the business aspect of it and understanding, profits and that's what I like about the two connected together. Now, hey, I'm not really monitoring the chat per se as I talk to John. The girls are monitoring. So if anyone has a question, and if the Destiny or Kimberly, don't be afraid to interrupt to ask, because if I miss something, and I see that Melissa W is putting links and my address, that's fine, and I greatly appreciate that. So I appreciate the support of all. We got about 24, 25 people. If you guys could hit the thumbs up, and like I said, if you want to subscribe to any of it's in the description, and you can click the 3 dots to the right. So it's greatly appreciated. Now, John, fast forward. You're selling. You're not doing it for a living, though, right? As far as when you're 18 years old, it's not. Is it your main job, or when do you go into a? Did you go to college, or did you hop into a career?
I went to college for a little bit and failed horribly, miserably. Dropped out with a 0.25 GPA, and went to work at Walmart and was there for a while. Went to Lowe's, was there for a while. Then I worked in mental health, and was there for 10 years. And then I went back to college, brought my GPA from a 0.25 to like a 3.6. And, it just shows you when you're not ready for something, there's a big difference between doing something unprepared and doing something prepared. I always had the ability, but I didn't have the desire. And that goes along a lot with reselling. There's a lot of people out there that have the ability, but they don't have the desire, and they'll jump in thinking they're going to get rich real quick. I was jumping into college like, oh, I'm going to get me a great paying job. And I realized that I just wasn't ready to do all the work that it took to get the degree. So I wanted money. So I went out and started a career, which was a good thing and a bad thing. I've always been a little bit on the lazy side. I'll just be honest. It's my motivations in life are a little bit different than most people. I'm not financially driven as much as I am wanting to live a happy life, wanting to live a fulfilled life. And money doesn't always meet that, doesn't fill that for the criteria for me. So sometimes I tend to be kind of like a Ferdinand. I just want to sit around and sniff the flowers. But so that whole time I sold on eBay. I mean, I always sold, but I was afraid. I was afraid to step out and do my own thing, to resell, because I was worried about insurance. I was worried about having insurance for my kids. I was always worried about something. Right. And then I was, you worry about getting sick and dying. And I realized that one day I'm going to die. If the Lord doesn't come back for his people before the end of my life, I am going to die, and I'm going to go out the hard way. And I decided that I just wanted to live for myself. So I quit my job and saved up. I saved up a year's salary before I quit, and then I went in and started working full time, doing what I'm doing now. So I didn't sell full time for from the time I started on eBay till about 2016.
Yeah. So you've been selling full time now for the last 2.5 years?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, how was that conversation with your wife when you told her I'm going to quit my job and sell? You know, I mean, how did you? You know, I always pictured back when I think about reselling. Sometimes it reminds me of the old Sanford and Son. You know, having that house full. And to be honest, my house has kind of partially become like that with all the stuff that's piled up in the garage in the house. I just couldn't imagine that conversation. You know, at the time. With your wife, how did you break the news to her that, or was this a plan that you had put in place?
Yeah, it was completely planned. I didn't go out on my own until I had talked to her about it, and then we prepared by saving money and getting debt paid off. There was definitely a plan that we had in place. I don't do anything unless the Lord puts it on my heart. I don't do anything without a plan. Plans are good, and to do a plan, you're going to be a lot more successful than just like saying, you know, stripping your clothes off and running down the street, say, let's go streaking. You know, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm like, no, you're good time. I'm not back here, huh?
You're not spontaneous.
No, not at all.
Right. And I think that's good. I mean, spontaneous fun is okay, but I think when you're a father and you have to take care, you have little ones to look out for, you know, there has to be a certain amount of plan in place because, you know, you can't be greedy and look out for yourself, that you have to, you know, have that structure and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, where did you then finally, did you write it down? Like, okay, this is where I'm going to find stuff. And where did you start sourcing, for example? Like, do you do like now, John, me and John have known each other now for about 7 months here. And I don't know everything about John. We've talked a little bit. We have fun conversations, but I don't ask him where does he get his stuff from. I know now he's opening a retail location and he post auction videos, but I don't know, and that's why I want the audience to know where are you finding stuff? You live in Missouri, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, where are you finding stuff to sell on eBay?
Goodwill, yard sales, auctions. People call me up. People bring stuff to me. Once people know that you do this for a living, there's no shortage. I have to turn people away because they're trying to sell me weird stuff. And I'm like, nah, either stuff because of my religious faith. I know that sometimes I come off as goofy and stuff like that, but I am a pretty devout person. And there's certain things that I won't sell. Anything that's questionable or unethical, I won't sell. If I think it's stolen, I won't mess with it because I don't want to produce any market for stolen goods. And anything that just goes against my faith, I don't put in my store or sell on eBay. So anything other than that, it's fair game. I'm always out there in the streets looking for stuff. I run my local buy sell trade page. The good Lord gave me a mind for business, and about 8 years ago, I run a prepper page called Doomsday Preppers on Facebook, and we have about 30,000 members on there. And I had a person that was in there all the time trying to sell stuff, and I'm like, you know what? You guys should make a Doomsday reseller page. That would be a great idea. And then that epiphany, those lightning bolts, they just come out of the blue. And I said, man, I should create a resell page for my community. And I did. Madison County, Missouri, buy sell trade. And I was one of the first buy sell trade pages on Facebook. I'm not saying I was the first, but one of the first. I was in that first batch. And I use that at the top of the page is the banner with my YouTube. I mean, we've got 15,000 people there. It's got my YouTube channel on there. It's got my business logo. It's got a link to my business page. We used to be called Show Me Pickers, but we were thinking about moving. So I changed the name to Nevermore Antiques because I really love Edgar Allan Poe. And but if you go to like facebook.com/Show Me Pickers, that's my business page. And we got like 3,200 people on that page. So I put flyers out all the time. word of mouth. I carry business cards around with me that have my YouTube channel on there and my phone number. I hand them out to everyone when people see me. People know me. I was in Festus, Missouri today, and there was a gentleman up there that worked at the Habitat for Humanity. He goes, how's your YouTube channel doing? I go, it's doing pretty good, man. And I just sit there and talk to him about it for a little bit. So that's an hour away from me, and somebody knew me. I thought it was kind of weird.
That's cool. That's cool. I still haven't come across that yet. Maybe as I continue putting videos out, but I always think that's cool when people, because you can always tell how happy people are. They feel kind of honored, I guess, when they run into somebody.
Well, and you got it, Kimberly. You got to remember, you got to leave the house to be spotted by. You know?
This is true. This is very true. That's probably why I haven't been spotted yet, because I don't leave the house often. That's funny.
Let's give Destinie a chance to ask John a question.
Okay, my question is, what is the one item that you absolutely loved that you flipped? Does that make sense?
Let me do two.
Okay.
The first item that I flipped was not mine, but I loved flipping it because the guy didn't really know what he had. He had a 1966, 65 Pontiac GTO with a tri-power setup. It was all numbers matching car, but it was a basket case, which means it was just in parts. So I went over to the guy's house, took pictures of it, took pictures of the VIN number, all the issues that were with it, and I flipped that car on eBay, and he ended up getting like $9,000 for this basket case car, and he wasn't expecting to get, you know, $800, $900 for it, and we ended up getting him $9,000. So that was not mine, the item to flip, but that was awesome because I love the guy. He's went on to be with the Lord at this point. He was a good friend of mine. But that's a good memory I have with him, and I love that dude. So it really makes my heart happy to think about that, and was able to help him and his family out. He was just a good guy. I want to tell a little story about him because I think people need to be remembered. He was the kind of guy that my car broke down one time whenever we lived in town here, and I didn't have the money to fix it. We towed it over to his house. He fixed it on his dime, on his bill, on his time, and he just said, pay me when you can. And he was a mechanic, and that dude, he had 3 kids of his own and had 2 other girls living with him that were his wife's niece. So this guy was just fantastic. So it just did my heart good to help him out. That was a blessing for him. So I love that. And then the second item that I sold, which I talk about all the time because I regret selling it, but the money was good, was at an auction, and they had this big thing of comic books, and they were just garbage comic books. The covers were taken off of them. They were wrinkled and yellowed, and those are all bad things for comic books. Yellowing of the pages, foxing, and rolled edges and stuff like that. So nobody was paying attention to them. I'm dumb sometimes. I'm too honest for my own good. I reach into this comic book and I pull out this one. I'm like, holy cow, this is something. I held it up, and there's a friend of mine that was there. His name is Brock Mills. And he was a lot younger at the time, and he bought a lot of antiques and old stuff. And I said, hey, Brock, I said, I'm holding $1 million in my hands. And he looked up at me, and he goes, that's cool. And I put it back down. They come around. I'm just getting nervous. I took pictures of it, uploaded it to this Facebook page for comic books, and I'm getting nervous. And I'm just like, I want this comic book. It's going to be crazy. It's a holy grail. This is what people write stories about. If this was Penthouse, it would be Penthouse letters. This like you're never gonna believe this story. But like the auction came around, the guy opens them up at $2, and the guy standing next to me goes $3. I go $4, and then he's like, no, the auction chant back and forth. I'm like, I don't know where this is gonna stop. He starts going in like, I don't know. Somehow I ended up winning them for $27, and I'm just like shaking. I'm just like, holy crap! And the guy goes, he looks over at me and he goes, "Is it real?" And I said, "It is very real." And he's like, "Dang!" And it was Amazing Fantasy number 15. It was the first appearance of Spider-Man in a comic book, and I paid $27 for it. but the thing that was wrong with it is the top of it. It said Amazing Fantasy. They had ripped that off and had sent it back in 1967, 64. I can't remember if anyone wants to look that up. I can't remember what year. It was September, I believe. And they ripped that out and sent it back in to get their whatever 10 cent, 15 cent credit for the book. But I ended up selling that book for almost $4,000. But if it hadn't been mutilated like that, that book was probably would have booked out at about probably at about a 6.3 to a 6.7, maybe a 7. I don't think so, but that's just me hoping. And that would have been right now. That book would be worth probably about I don't know. I'd look them up. Probably maybe 200,000, 100,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that stuff's still out there, people. It's still out there. You can find your gold mine is out there. It's in somebody's attic or in their basement.
I used to be a lister before I opened up my own eBay store, and the person I listed for bought storage units, and he had come across multiple units of where there were comic books in it, and so I learned a little bit, and I do know that it's kind of reminds me of how coins are. You know, it matters in condition for sure. Yeah. But that's really cool. I would have been shaking. I would have been really stoked and excited because I know enough to know when things are rare, you know, and all you got to do is really just pay attention to some of the numbers of things and the basics of some of those comics, you know, the beginning of Spider-Man compared to the center, and then you know the stages. But I feel you on that. That was cool. I bet that was cool. Too bad you don't have it now, huh?
The funny thing is I posted it like people were blowing up that forum. Like, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Because they were just going nuts. I mean, it's like finding a 66 Shelby or 67 Shelby Mustang, you know, in a barn somewhere, and you're getting ready to buy it. People, it just blows their mind. And in good shape, you could buy a whole fleet of Shelby Mustangs with that book. A 9.0 in that book is probably $750 to $1 million. So yeah, it's crazy. But I've bought and sold a fortune in comic books. Just stuff that I've had. First editions of Incredible Hulk. I've had his first appearance. I've had first appearance of Wolverine, which was in Incredible Hulk. First appearance of Hawkeye. First appearance of Rocket Raccoon. First appearance of Spider-Man. Now that's the holy grail. But I've had so many first appearances of Scarlet Witch and just tons of stuff. You know, the other day I actually beat up Thor and took his hammer from him. So like I have some clout when it comes to comic books. That's kind of my passion.
Me?
I don't get no laugh. I don't get no laugh patty cakes. Come on, man. That was good.
That was a great. Yeah. What happened, John? I was watching the chat, and because of the delay, I didn't see it yet. Because when we see on Google Hangouts, and then when I switched back to the screen, I saw you holding the big hammer, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what he's talking about. Where'd you get that at?
I collect all kinds of stuff, and this is I want to glue this to the floor somewhere, so that people come in and they try to pick it up, and that's good. What I thought about doing is underneath the floor is wiring in an electromagnet and putting a steel plate in this, and then putting it on the floor, and then have a switch to when someone walks in and they're going to try to pick it up, I flip the switch to where they can't pick it up, and then
have a little kid come over when the switch is off and he can pick it up.
Yeah. I've thought about that, because you would just have to build an electromagnet, and it wouldn't have to be a very strong one. And I've seen it done before, but I don't know. I'm kind of a nerd, so it'll probably end up happening at some point. So if you ever come into my store, make sure you don't trip over Mjolnir on the floor, because you're probably not worthy to wield the mighty Thor hammer, the mighty hammer of Thor.
That's a cute idea. Now, John, let's fast forward to now. This year, you decide to, I'm going to open a retail store?
Why did I decide, or when?
No, I'm saying, when did you decide and why?
Well, I've owned one before, but it was small. Like it was probably a third the size of the store I'm in now. And for you to run an antique store in that size, you either got to sell really high antiques, or you got to sell a whole lot cheap. And I tried to sell a whole lot cheap, and it affected my eBay because remember, I worked full time. My wife was up there. Plus we had kids. We had a baby at the time. Asher was just a newborn. The building ended up having mold in it. And I came in one day and I go, we're done. And I shut that store down because it wasn't big enough and because it was a health issue for my baby. And so I didn't shut it down because I wanted to. I shut it down because I had to. I love people. I mean, I love people. There's two things I love in the world. That's Jesus and people. And I definitely love being around people, and I love loving people because people just want to be loved. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that would object to being treated good and have someone care about you just because you're a human. And so for me to get to work in a place like this and get to see people that come through the door and be able to affect people's lives, and it's not, for me, it's not just an issue of having an antique store, but it's to be able to just play a part in people's lives, even if it's a little part. You know, maybe they're having a bad day. You know, maybe they need somebody to talk to. Maybe they just had something bad happen, and you know, I just want to make myself be available to people because that's really my motive for having a store. It ain't to make a bunch of money. It's my calling in life. Like it's really my ulterior motive. Just to be honest, it's what I feel I'm to do.
I think that is amazing. And I know I've mentioned this to you, how, you know, my family was in the business of having an antique shop, a consignment shop. That was one of the ways that they funded part of the bills was to rent out a little area. But the part that I love the most, and I absolutely miss the most, is you know, the kind of like small community feel that was within that little shop. I mean, people would come by just to kind of chit chat, or, you know, it was really neat to even see when somebody came in and they were looking for that special something, you know, whatever it was, and they finally see it and they light up, you know, they get so excited, and then they tell you this whole story about you know, whatever it is that they had when they were a kid, and you know, now you're learning about, you know, all them. And I love that part about.
Yeah, you just never know what you're gonna. Yeah, you never know what you're gonna find. I was out today, and we went to Goodwill, and I paid $1 for this, and it's an old-fashioned donut maker in the box. This thing is like flipping minty, and I love it. It's got the little wooden handle on it. Look at that. No one ever even uses it. See how excited I get over this stuff?
I'd be excited.
And look, it's just.
John, is this something you're going to sell, or is this a display item for the store?
No. Everything in the store pretty much is for sale, except for my TV up front. I love my TV, and I'm not going to sell that.
The one that I want to play the honeymooners on, right?
Yeah. That thing, I'm not going to find another one like that. I went across the street, and they had some over there, but water had gotten up in the building, and they were just all delaminated. That thing looks like it's 5 years old. Those over there, I actually would like to get one of them for parts because I need the back piece off of it. But those over there, those things look like were made in 1950. This one up here looks like it looks like a reproduction. It's just so beautiful.
Hey, we got Craig, Landshark Picker. He's saying nothing is for sale. The door isn't open yet. Laugh out loud one day. So why don't we clarify that? Us friends that are friends with you, let's hold you to a target date or week and tell us what's going on with the store and what you've been doing. Maybe you want to tell us what I think you bought the store, what, 2 months ago?
I bought the store back in the last part of April. So I've owned it now for 2 full months,
Right.
but it doesn't eat anything. I don't owe anything on it. It's mine. I don't have a payment on it at all. So I'm able to, I mean, like, it ain't like I'm like, oh my God, I got to make the bills. I got a $75 internet bill. So if anyone wants to super chat me, you know, $75 when I go live, no, I'm kidding. But like, I've got my internet. I've got $120 a month for insurance on the building. And then I got, what else do I got? Internet, electricity. I forgot. And that's the last month it was $80. So, you know, I wasn't in here, but I was in here quite a bit, but I wasn't in here. This building is flanked on either side by 2-story buildings. So it's out of the heat for most of the day. I've got one air conditioner on in the back, and it's already getting a little bit chilly in here.
Right. I think that should help you even with the heat in the winter because of being in between 2 buildings like that. I've actually seen pictures of John's store, even from the outside, when I had actually sent him a couple things to display in his store and a couple things to sell. And it's a nice little town. I love those brick buildings and stuff. And
Correct. We don't have running water. That's included in the electricity. It's water, sewer, and electricity and trash are all on one bill. So that was $80 for all of that. And I get a dumpster.
So when do you plan to open?
We're shooting for July. I mean, the store's getting fuller. I still have a lot I'd like to do. I'd like to get more stuff, but I think I'm just gonna price the stuff that I got and open. And hey, it is what it is. Just tell people I know it's kind of sparsely filled right now, but spend some money and I'll get more in here.
Right. Now, are you going to be you primarily just sell on eBay? I heard you talking about doing the antique booths before. Are you giving up the antique booths?
No, you don't walk away from money.
Right. Now, how far are those antique booths from where you're at, bud?
I live on US 67. If you pull out on US 67 and drive about 15 minutes north, you pull off US 67 and they're right there. You couldn't ask for them to be any closer unless they were in my town.
Right.
And then they would be my competition, and I don't want that.
Right. So are you going to, in a sense, take back, was the house overtaking? I know that you talked before about having a second house on the property, that you had a lot of your eBay inventory.
My goal with the second house is once I get this business set up and get it established, and when it starts turning a profit, I'm going to go into that second house of mine. I'm going to completely renovate it, and I'm going to rent it out on like Airbnb, because we have a nice 40-acre farm, and I think that it would be, imagine what I could do if I rented it out on like deer hunting weekend for somebody to come down. I could probably get $300, $400 for that weekend from people that wanted to come down and stay in it, and even say for that cost you can hunt my land. And imagine the money that you could make just I have a stocked pond with catfish and bass, and we have 40 acres with cows, and I have we keep about 3 or 4 acres cut. The 3 acres would be more likely, 4 would be being facetious, but we keep about 3 acres cut, and we live right outside of town. We live close to Silver Mines, which is a place for people to go kayaking in the spring. It's just another, if the Lord's willing, it's another plan for my business long term, especially when it comes to retirement. The more streams of income you have, the better off you are.
I have actually, I don't have the question. It was somebody in the chat. I think it was Pittsburgh, asked if you have any employees, or maybe if you plan on in the future having employees.
I have a wife, and I work for her, and I don't know. I don't know what the Lord has for me in the future. I don't know if, I ain't guaranteed tomorrow. So, I would love to be able to hire an employee to man the shop here. because that would free me up to be able to go out and buy stuff. And I'd love to be able to come in at the end of the day, run the report, see what I sold, price some stuff, fill the shop back up, and be able to do that continually. That is one of my goals long term, maybe in this shop, but I do like the idea of interacting with people. So it would never be a full-time person, maybe just hire a high school kid or somebody looking for part-time work.
Right. That may, I mean, yeah, or someone to do the mid hours, kind of thing.
Maybe open, because I'm not a morning person.
Well, there you go.
How is the winters there, John?
They're fairly mild, but I think that winters are progressively getting more wetter. I don't know, climate change. I mean, the way the weather was 5 years ago is not the way it's going to be 5 years from now. But I think that they're pretty mild for the most part. They can be cold, just late December, January, February. There are cold months.
The reason I was asking, because my weather up here in the Poconos can be a little rough, and if I need a place to stay in the winter, and if I can line something up with you that I can kind of, I am a eBay reseller. Maybe I can move in with you part-time in the winter.
You would be, your wife might not like that. She might be upset to not have her snuggle bunny to keep her warm.
No, I'll bring her along.
Oh, that would be cool. That would work. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can do some winter ice fishing.
Well, if it gets cold enough for my pond to get frozen over, I'm worried, because I'm like, what's going on? Because last winter, I don't think it ever got below 0 here.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I was pretty happy for that weather.
John, I hear you sometimes talk about 444. What exactly is that meaning? I've seen you talk about it in your videos and stuff.
I don't know. It just has I don't know. As I said, I have my faith, and a friend of mine pointed that out to me, and it's just something that for some reason it holds a religious significance for me. Like I see it multiple times, and I feel I'm a man of reason and science, and I believe that the God that created the universe through reason and science. And I think that mathematics are the fundamental language of the universe, and they're true no matter where you're at. And I just think that he speaks to us sometimes through numbers. And that number comes up all the time. I was driving down the road one day and looked up and seen a semi-truck. And it isn't like I'm always reading license plates on vehicles. I looked up and I seen a semi-truck on a license plate that said 444. I was driving today. My whole family sees it now. Once it's in your mind, you see it everywhere. We were at Steak and Shake. I had my wife take a picture of it, and it said 444. The other day, my son seen a license plate in St. Louis that said King 444. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty significant. That's pretty interesting. Somebody had a personalized license plate that said that. So I'm not the only weirdo that likes that 444 number.
I like when Derek says 444. He says that a lot for me.
Yeah.
Because he's got that accent, and it just sounds so cute. So I always have
Derek, he's funny. Man. He's a good guy.
Well, John, I'm hoping a bunch of us are actually going to get together and come and visit you when you do open that store. I'm excited for the opportunity. We talked about some of the things you're going to do with YouTube, and I wanted to show you something real quick that I'm going to bring along. You live on a farm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I picked this up for you.
That is awesome. That is too cool, man.
That's from a farm truck, and that's 444 from 1977, Oklahoma. I talked to the governor of Missouri, but he said I couldn't put Missouri there, so I don't want to break any rules. But that's
I've got my Missouri 444 tag over there. A really cool guy sent that to me.
I know.
What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to find a 444 tag from every state. I'm going to start looking them up on eBay. And I'm going to put them all up on the wall in here, and every one of them will say, if I can get one from every state, I'm going to put as many of them up on the wall as I can find. So I think it's an absolutely interesting number, and I think it holds significance. I believe that I have a buddy that he sees it all the time too, and I'll look up and at the clock, just crazy. And 11:11. I look at the clock. I don't know if I've just programmed myself to look at the clock at that time, but I look at 11:11 comes up a lot too, but I don't really talk a lot about that one. I have a whole folder in my, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I think I have a 444 folder where it comes up. I fell asleep. Here's a crazy story. This is the weird stuff that happens with that number. I went to sleep last night and I was listening to a podcast, and when I fell asleep, I paused it and I had no idea. When I woke up this morning, it was paused at 44 minutes and 43 seconds. So I screenshotted that, so you'll see it later on my Facebook page because I upload all that weird stuff. So I didn't see it. I was asleep when I paused it, but that's how that number comes up in my life. It's just it's absolutely amazing.
I think that it has to do part with the fact that you've kind of put it in your head started to see it, because my favorite number is 22, and I see it all the time. I'm like, it's destined to be my favorite number because I see it everywhere.
I was in St. Louis and a bus drove by and the number was 444-4444. So it's obviously that number holds a lot of importance to a lot of people. I don't know why, but those fours, I don't know. It's just something. It's just weird. Haven't you been paying attention to chat? I'm sure somebody's making fun of me.
No. Actually, Cliff had wrote something that was kind of interesting, that, John, when you see 444 repeatedly, it means you're on the right path, and he's an ordained minister.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I've been having some troubles lately, and a lot of people don't know, but I've been having some health issues. I'm diabetic, and I've been having some issues with my health, and been working on cutting back on what I eat and trying to become more healthy, because I want to be here at least a little bit longer to see my kids graduate. And I've been doing a lot of internal reflecting on who I am as a person and how I come off sometimes. And I've just said, you know what, I've made it my life's goal to not be influenced by those people around me and people who I love dearly. But I need to blaze my own trail and my own path. And I've really felt that way. And that's when the flurry of 444s come up. If I'm doing boneheaded stuff, I won't see nothing. I know people have different beliefs, and you know what? I love you guys regardless. If you believe if you believe how I believe or not, I love you regardless. My love is not conditional on whether or not you believe me. It's just who I am as a person. You got the clock going off at 9 o'clock. That's the thing about being in an antique shop. But I love that sound. But you hear a lot of, but I see that number a lot, and I agree. And I've been told that before.
Now, John, I asked you before the show if you could pull out a couple unique items that you're going to sell or display in the store. Why don't you show the audience some of the unique things that you have?
I've got this really cool fiddle. I'm pretty fond of Ireland and all things Irish, and I've always wanted to learn how to play a fiddle. This is a Samuel Eastman. It's VA80. It's a 3/4 size violin, and it's absolutely just a gorgeous piece. Beautiful finish on it. It's I would love to be able to play a tune. I can play guitar, but I can't play violin. But that's about as good as it gets. But I bought this. I paid $90 for it. And I absolutely love it. That was so bad it made poor Kim run away.
Maybe she's gonna go get hers, and you guys get to play something together. And then Destinie is Irish, so she'll start doing some Irish dancing.
I'm Irish too. I married a redhead, and she was supposed to be Irish, but it turns out that she's English. And I told her, I said, "How can you be English? Your people were mean to my people." And I still love her, but she ended up being really English, and I'm just a my great grandfather came over from Ireland. I still have family over there, and so yeah, for me, it's I just love everything Ireland. I want to go over there someday.
So do Kimmy and I. Kimmy and I are planning a trip out there. I want to come on. The more the merrier.
John's going to have to change his attitude about traveling, because John was supposed to be on our show 2 weeks ago, and he traveled to Florida, and he seemed a little miserable about the trip going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm not much of a traveler when it comes to driving, but if I can go with somebody, and I don't have to drive, it's not that bad.
Right.
I just hate driving. But this is a Fender Telecaster that I just bought the other day. It is in Mexico, but it's absolutely gorgeous. The only little booger spot is that little booger spot right there. Other than that, this is absolutely gorgeous. I've had all kinds of people who want it, but nobody's came up with the 3 bills yet to buy it. And I've got
that'll sell for $300.
Yeah, I paid $100 for it. It could sell for more, but
right.
I'm trying to give it away for a deal. I'll be right back. I had to set it down so I don't break it. That was just me selling for a deal. On eBay, I could probably get $400 out of it, but I'm gonna have to pay all those fees. So I figured I'll just sell it local for $300, and maybe somebody will scarf it up. One other item that I have here. This is Isabella. She's in a glass case. She has a history. I don't like talking about her because she's listening. She's my, what I call my haunted doll. But she's not. It's just a doll in a glass case. I thought would make a really cool conversation piece. I'm going to put a piece of, I've got a little metal sign that I'm going to print. It says, do not, whatever you do, don't touch. And I'm going to slide it in front of her, like right at the bottom of the case, right here up front. And it'll just be a conversation piece. People will be like, what's up with the doll? And be like, just don't touch it. Just don't touch it. Please don't touch it.
Now, is that going to be a display piece, a talkative piece, in a sense? You're not going to sell it.
Yeah, it's for sale.
Yeah.
But sometimes it ain't. I'm not a liar. I'm definitely never going to tell anyone that it's a haunted doll. But a lot of people in this business will tell you that the item itself is worthless, but the story you tell is priceless.
Right.
So you can actually go on eBay and type in haunted items, and there's a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff about that. And you can take anything, and I'm not saying to do this, I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, but you can take an item that, say the doll, okay, and come up with this crazy story and say it's haunted, and then put it on there, and you'll get more money for it than just putting the doll up by itself with no story. I learned that from him. From Tommy. He was telling me about that, and I didn't believe him. And then he pulled it up and he showed me. It's crazy.
I wouldn't doubt it. People will buy anything, it seems.
Yeah,
for the right price.
Yes.
And now, some of the chat it was commenting about buying the guitar. If someone was serious about buying the guitar, how would they contact you, John?
Well, I mean, I'm not interested in really shipping it.
Okay.
Because I want it in the shop, or I want to sell it to somebody local.
Right.
I've also got.
I was Johnny. I was hoping that we had a QVC moment here, and
Yeah.
sold for you, buddy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could have sold it many times online, and I could have got more money. If I'm going to go through the hassle of having to ship it,
Right.
you know, it would be. I don't really want to ship guitars. I've shipped them before. This is a Shamrock, and it needs just a tiny bit of work, but it's gorgeous. I bet you it screams like a boss. But it does have a little bit of booger damage here. Now, I'll tell you guys what I paid for these, just so you know that there's a lot of really good deals out there. The Shamrock, I paid $50 for that at an auction, and the Fender I only paid $100. I paid $100 for that guitar. So, I mean, I'm not wanting to ship it because I don't have a hard case for it.
Right.
And I just know that if I ship it, man, I don't want to have somebody messaging me going, oh, it got damaged in shipping, because it's a guaranteed $300 local. I've had people just be honest, I've been busy, and I've had people message me going, when can we meet to buy it? So, you know, it's been sold 20 times over. I
understand. I was just passing the message along through. Now, do you plan on in your store selling like Nevermore antique shirts and stuff for people like myself that maybe doesn't want to buy something in a store to come down, but traveling through and want to a keepsake to say that I've been to your store and stuff?
Yeah, I have all kinds of, I mean, kind of based on the Nevermore type thing. I actually have been buying some stuff. Like I found, if you look right here, let me see. I've got different, like I know my camera sucks in the darkness over here, but it says quote the Raven. I've got the one here has Edgar Allan Poe and the TARDIS.
That's cool. Was it you, John, that was talking about soap? I want to say that it was you. Maybe it wasn't. It was you that was gonna maybe have soap. Are you still gonna do that?
Yeah, I want to do soap, and we're gonna do probably candles and stuff like that. We've got a lot of opportunity, a lot of possibility. I'm not exactly sure. Here's one corner that I've kind of set up, and I've got, like the big ladders, and I mean, I've got some old stuff, so it's going to be kind of like a mixture of like old and new. I don't know.
How about that Miss Pac-Man game I've been begging for when I come down?
Yeah, I wish I could find one. Somebody said you can rent one and they'll put it in your store. And I was like, wow, that's cool, but I don't know how much that would cost for them to put a Miss Pac-Man. Why would I want to pay somebody to?
Well, sometimes, John, you could find a company like that will put them in and not charge you nothing, and then you split whatever it does. So if it would pull in $200 a month, you get 100 and they get 100, and it doesn't cost you nothing to have the machine in there.
Yeah.
There's companies like that. So I always tease John, and he actually did a shout out in his video the other day because he saw a Miss Pac-Man game and stuff. John, we're at about a little over an hour here, and before I want to ask you a little bit. When did you decide that YouTube was going to be part of, branching out for yourself in Nevermore Antiques, and why did you choose to do YouTube?
I've been doing YouTube for about, if you go back, my first video was over 5 years ago. I have other YouTube channels. I have a YouTube channel called Crosswalk Association, and that's my faith-based YouTube channel. I've got some really amazing testimonies on there. If anyone I would dare say, even if you don't believe in God, go listen to some of the amazing stories. If you know me and you know that I don't lie to people, and I'm not really, I'm really an honorable person, I would definitely like anyone to go listen to some of the crazy stories God stories that have just happened to me in my life, just crazy stuff. But that was my first channel. And then I opened up, but I didn't make videos on it till about 2 years ago. And then I started my Nevermore Antiques channel because what I started doing was I was making videos for eBay, demonstration videos. And some of the demonstration videos that I had done, like 2-dot Pepsi Cola bottle, it has like over 20,000 views. I have another YouTube channel that's just John Johnson, and there's some demonstration videos on there, and they've got crazy views. And I was like, wow, people are watching this stuff. And I was slowly building up enough money to where I got a payout at one point. I was like, wow, I made money doing this. And I'm like, I think I could do it more. And well, the rest is history. I'm not saying I can do it. I'm not even saying I should do it. I'm just saying I do it. And I think everyone else should do it if they feel that it's in their heart.
And how are you going to incorporate that into your business?
Well, I already have. I've been doing a series of YouTube videos just on setting up my store. In fact, I got away from my reselling content on my eBay and was just doing a lot of videos just from the store. But eBay or YouTube is a fickle beast. You got to feed it right, and you got to feed the people that follow you what they want to watch. So, you know, it can be difficult. There's people out there that are seeing a lot of success in the community right now, and I'm happy for those people. I'm just not one of them that's seeing a tremendous amount of success, and that's okay. I like making videos, and I love the people that I've met. That's the reward. It isn't really about money. It's about being true to yourself and finding people that you can love on and be friendly with, and that people who care about you and that message you and go, how are you doing today? And yeah, that's the goal. That's the end of the rainbow, not AdSense paydays and stuff like that. When you see people chasing AdSense, man, I don't know. That ain't my thing. It ain't me.
Kimberly, you have any? We want to wrap this up in a couple minutes. Do you have anything else? Did I miss a question in the chat or anything?
I was paying attention to the chat, but I did want to say this that I thought was really cool that John had talked about, and one of the reasons that I appreciate him and I think he's a good guy, and am glad that he is your guest tonight. Is he was talking about, you know, doing what he's doing, not necessarily for the dollar signs. And I can relate to that 100%. You know, of course I want to be able to afford things, but I'm not necessarily the person who needs the latest and greatest, you know, of everything. I do what I do for the freedom of it, you know, so that I can have more moments to be there for my kids and take them to do things and make those amazing memories. So I just had to comment on that and tell you that I thought that was really cool, because I too am like that. I do what I do to, like, all I've ever wanted to do since I can remember is help people, or, you know, whether that's give them advice or make them smile or just be there. So I think that's cool, and I think that you're going to accomplish all of that. I do. You have a good heart and a beautiful family, and if you stick with it, you're going to do big things. So I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us, John.
I really love you guys. It's awesome. I really appreciate your hearts, and that's the thing, is that far too many people in this community follow after the people that tell them that Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. You know, I've always said, for some of you people that are my friends on Facebook, I posted a song the other day, and it was that old country song. It says, you got to stand for something or you fall for anything. And, you know, I could be a lot better off. You know, I could own a bigger house if I do a little bit more giving in and compromise who I am as a person, but I just can't do that. If you want honor and you want integrity, the people that I roll with, I don't allow people into my inner circle, the people that come onto my YouTube channel. the people that I associate myself with. I don't hang out with people that have not proven themselves to me, that have honor, integrity, and they stand upright. Very few people will make it through. There's some people that I do associate with that I pray for and say, get them, God. But for the most part, I can tell you the people on this panel, they're good people. If you're watching this tonight, you're in good company, and you need to keep watching. You need to keep supporting. You need to be sharing their content. Just putting it on your Facebook page is a huge help. Putting people, you know, if you have a YouTube channel, if you're a content creator, go into your community tab, share these videos out to people and say, come watch this fantastic person, and really just promote other people. Because I'm telling you, the energy that you project out into the universe, I'm not a big new ager or anything like that, but I do believe that the energy that you project out into the universe will come back to you. And if you do that through love and kindness and affection for people, yeah, and I have a tendency to be bullheaded. If I see somebody, I've never liked bullies. I sometimes lose my composure, but I repent of that, and I hope people understand that at the end of the day, that it's not out of a place of hardship or me being wanting to live in strife with people, but it's because at the end of the day, I just truly love people and want to do what's best for this community and not see people take advantage of other people.
Yeah, John Wildman is asking, and if you have a specific date, because like myself, people want to come and John, I met you a couple months ago, and you know, it's weird how YouTube is that someone just you start hearing a guy talking, and I'm not a real big churchgoer, but just the way that you carry yourself and talk, it kind of brought some faith back into me. And you started talking about health, and I started, you know, I got to get back on the, you know, it was funny because I was going to reach out to you and do like, if you remember, do like and I was like, no, I don't want to hurt his feelings, and then he's not going to like me. And now that we know each other long enough,
I like you a lot, Pat.
I remember when that was, Pat, because we had a conversation on the phone about that exact thing, how you were unsure about it. But I mean, John ended up being a pretty awesome guy. So I'm glad that you made that connection.
Oh, I am too. So do you have, I mean, there's a bunch of us that want to come and crash his store and just to say hello and support him. And, you know, I mean, myself, I'm 15, 16 hours away, and I'm willing to take the trip, take a couple days just to come down and say hello because I think he's worth it. Do you have a target date in July? Because there's a gentleman, Wildman, in the room that is willing to give up some of his vacation time to come and see you. And I think that says a lot for who you are.
Oh, I love Jesse. He's a great guy. He was a guy that reached out to me, and I believe that God puts people in our path for a purpose. That there are no, in the Jewish, I'm not trying to be all preachy to you guys, but in the Jewish language, in Hebrew, there is no word for coincidence. All things happen according to the will of God, and all people meet for a purpose. And Jesse came into my life, and he's been a good friend to me. He's always reaching out and wanting to talk. And even when I get busy, I actually run a Discord channel for people who want to. It's on my YouTube channel and my videos. Sometimes I'm in there, so for voice chats or whatever, if people want to just ask questions or something, I try to make myself available, which will be a whole lot more when I get the store open, because I'll be here listing and working, and I plan on doing a lot more working hangouts or joining. If you notice, I don't go live a lot because my channel seems to be growing okay. So I love to, but I do love to give people the opportunity to come on. So if anyone out there wants to reach out to me and would love to come on my channel for any reason, just to hang out and talk, hit me up. You can, my email address is showmepickers79@gmail.com. And I would love to be able to just, you know, find me on Facebook. My name is John Johnson. I tell people all the time that I am a Midwestern white bread American. So the stuff that I post is pretty much what you see here. And if you can handle that, or even want to have a really good conversation about stuff, I would love to be your friend on Facebook. I'll post my my link to my personal Facebook page in chat. That's the best way to hang out with me and hook up with me and interact with me, because I'm a Facebook addict.
I remember you saying that to me. You'll be like, Pat is going to talk a little bit about God and some. I'm like, that's fine, and we may not agree on everything, but that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Yeah, when in the nation did we decide that we can't love each other? When did me not agreeing with the way somebody does something means I hate them?
Right.
I don't think so, man. I love people, dude. I ain't got nothing in me but love. So like, even the people I might not necessarily treat with kid gloves, I still love them. I still love them. I mean, I love you. If you're watching out there and you know who I'm talking about, I love you, man. I love you with my whole heart. I ain't angry.
I really appreciate you coming on. I'll be honest, you know, 2 weeks ago, John was supposed to come on our show on the night of my graduation. And he says, Pat, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm heading back home from vacation. And I was like, I just was like disappointed, but I had to quick make a snap decision. And I contacted one of my friends, Craig, and I didn't even know, but the night before these guys hijacked my show. And
that was fun. I was just thinking everything happened for a reason, you know. Of course, it would have been awesome to hang out with John a week, you know, sooner, but it kind of was like it was meant to be, and how it all sort of played out.
It comes back to what I said earlier about there being no coincidences. There's a purpose for everything in design. It's a design. That's just me.
And that's what's amazing about meeting people. Like, I mean, you had 5 or 6 people that day going, what, 8, 9, 10 hours or something like that to push Patdees over 1,000. And I was like, what's going on?
Well, I mean, we just all wanted to show you that you are awesome, you know, and that we are a community that can come together, you know, for each other. So.
I enjoy this, and I'll be honest, I enjoy this. I mean, we're sitting through a video chat here, but I get a lot of compliments on talking to people and interviewing people, and they ask me, and like, this is, if I met you in person, I don't need to get to 2 years to get to know you. I'd get to know you probably within 2 hours.
Yeah, them familiar. You're familiar with somebody's spirit. It's just funny how certain people. I'm really an empathetic person. I have a lot of empathy. So for me, it doesn't take too long to read a person and be like, you know, I find worth in everyone. I don't, you know, I always tell people I don't have issues. I canceled my subscription years ago. So, you know, but there's some people that, like, you know, you're like, oh man, I don't know about that. But you're not one of those, Pat. You know, I think you're a great guy. I think you got a lot of worth. I think you got a lot of value. And I think you got a lot of purpose, man. I think that you make the world a better place by being in it. And I think you need to know that. I think that's just true words for you, man.
I appreciate that. Hey, I want to address something real. I'm smiling because DA Crazy Card, and he's a regular in our chat, and
Mike.
And my son is Big Red, so everyone knows. If you guys want to subscribe to his channel, he knows Dad swears once in a while out of anger or situations. But for the most part, I try to teach my kids that not to have that as a regular language. So I see he deleted the message because he's just looking out for Dad, and he doesn't realize sometimes the innocent banter. So please don't be offended or nothing like that. That's him having my back and not seeing the chat at the same time. And I could holler to him, hey, Josh, it's all right for that kind of hug and that message.
Mike don't care. Mike, he's an envelope rider anyways. He's right there on the cutting edge.
Yeah. So it's nothing. You know, you're welcome in the room anytime. I tell you, I hang with a good bunch. I get a lot. I tell you, I've only had in 6 months, I think, 1 comment that fell in the review section that I had to delete, that someone was being hateful and stuff like that. But hey, that happens. And, you know, Jeremy, what the hell's, you know, said something the other day, focus on the 95% that love you and don't worry about the 5% that are negative. And we're all guilty of taking it personal to heart. And that's one of my downfalls, because you want everyone to like it. But unfortunately, as you get bigger and meet more people, you're going to run into people sometimes that just have mean spirit and just want to do things just to kind of work you up and stuff like that. So I try not to see it.
as Dave Chappelle said, haters gonna hate.
Yeah. I really, again, appreciate you coming on the show. I want to talk a little bit about what's going to go on. Next week is July the 4th. I was hoping that Kimberly was going to put on a fireworks show, but she's saying that the zoning in her area won't allow her to put on a fireworks display for all of us. And she says, Pat, fireworks are expensive. And I'm like, well, if we all chip in $1, maybe, you know, we can watch Kimberly's fireworks show. But you know,
they're also illegal here, or else I might be all about it. But
illegal? What kind of communist state do you live in that doesn't allow 4th of July fireworks?
It stinks because, you know what? A little fun fact: I'm a little bit of a pyro, and I like to light things on fire, but in a good way. I promise you all. So I like the 4th of July a lot. But it's illegal here. Luckily, I live somewhere where they do a huge, giant, one of the biggest in Colorado, fireworks displays, and it's a little like free little fair, and they have these kind of obstacle like American Ninja Warrior things. And I have an 8-year-old son, and it's free entertainment, free fireworks, and he has the greatest time. So I'm all in.
So what are we going to do then on July 4th? Are we taking a break that day?
I think it appears to be so, but we will pick right back up the very next week, which absolutely y'all must stay tuned and come support, because Destiny's going to be hosting, and it's been a little bit of a minute since she has hosted, so I'm sure she might be slightly nervous about it, but we're going to have a really awesome guest, someone I'm really excited for all of you to know or get to know if you don't already, so it should be a good time.
Destinie, do you want to embellish a little bit more on that? What's going to go down on your channel? That would be July the 11th.
Yes, July 11th. I did talk to Joy. She is going to be my first official guest on when I'm hosting, and she is Be the Difference Clothing. And she is an inspirational speaker. She is awesome. I love watching her. And I hope you guys enjoy her too, because she is pretty amazing.
Yes. She's wrote a couple of books. So I think it will be interesting to get a different kind of idea of a stream of income for people. Because we haven't had that yet. Somebody to have wrote or to have made a couple books. She just put out her second one, which is really cool. So I'm excited for her to come and hang out with us.
Right, and I'm excited for Destinie to be back in the mix. Unfortunately, Destinie had an emergency about 3 weeks ago, and even though she was still coming on the show, we didn't want to burden her down with the responsibility of putting a show together. But she's always been part of the show, and I tell you, I love getting together with these two girls every week. They've been very supportive, and we've only known each other, I'll be honest, since February. Destinie, if anyone follows me, Destinie was the first person, and I joke with her that our anniversary is February the 3rd, because she allowed me to come on her show with a Google Hangout. Didn't know nothing about it or how to do it, and she was the first one. So I'm excited working with these girls, and you know, we have fun. I always tell them that they're my angels, along with Rebecca, who is one of the mods in the room, and you know, they call me Charlie, and we tease that Destiny's husband is Bosley. So, you know, this show on Thursday is a little bit more structured, as far as we always try to put out information that people, it's, you know, we try to stay lighthearted and talk about life a little bit, but, you know, where sometimes you'll see, like Kimberly tomorrow night will be doing her show where the crazies come out, and, you know, sometimes you'll see me on that and I'm throwing a box of cereal. You know, we're moving around and having fun.
It was unicorn cereal. That was the problem. That was, I think you got caught by your wife for throwing that cereal all over the floor, and it was hilarious.
Right.
Yeah, his son and my daughter busted him out.
Yeah. And it's been great because I've gotten to meet you know, all your kids and talk to them, and you know, Lily, it was funny. My son goes to me today. Mini-Me has something like 100, and she don't have no videos, but she has something like 150 some subscribers, and she calls me Uncle Pat. And you know, I've sent stuff to, you know, Joey and stuff. So I really enjoy, you know, I want to say working, but, you know, we talk, basically all three of us really talk sometimes on a daily basis, multiple times in a week. So this has been a good relationship, and you know, I enjoy working with them. Now, the following week, July 18th, and I know that's 3 weeks out, it'll be my turn to host again, and I am going to have on Valerie, that goes by the name of Hickory Springs, and the chat is going to be about side gig hustles, not necessarily always about reselling. That there's opportunities. She found me basically when I was at around 300 subscribers, and she was struggling to pay some of her bills, and she knew that I had some side hustle gigs that I did, and she's been doing that, and she said to me, I really appreciate what you did for me, and I inspired her to do some side hustle gigs, and it helped her. So I want her to come on the show, and that's the thing. We want to do stuff that provides information that maybe you can't resell, but maybe there's stuff out there that you can do to make extra money, make ends meet and stuff, and help you guys. So that's who's going to be my guest that day, July 18th. So I appreciate everyone hanging out tonight. We ran a little bit long. If you guys want to say anything to the audience before we leave.
I appreciate everybody hanging out, and especially John Nevermore Antiques for coming on. Make sure that you guys are following his channel if you haven't already. I think it's really cool to follow along when somebody, you know, does a big thing in their life, like opening up a store. And I'm excited to watch your journey, you know, you and your beautiful wife and your kids' journey through it. So I appreciate you also sharing that with the rest of the world. And thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat. Y'all always make it fun, and I just appreciate you all.
Kimberly, too, why don't you plug your channel and tell us what's going on for tomorrow? And anybody here, don't be afraid if you got something coming up, something unique, a video or something you want to, you know, please.
Yeah, so I'm going to do an edition of The Crazies come out tomorrow night. I think the world is a better place if we all just laugh a little. And I know as a reseller, like, you just kind of feel like you're go, 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 go all the time. So I think it's nice to kind of goof off, you know, goof around and have fun. We're going to do like I did the last time and do a game night sort of edition. So it should be fun. It's been quite a few weeks since I have done it. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have a good time on a Friday night and just let loose a little bit all over YouTube. You never know what's going to happen.
And I'm sure Destinie, you'll probably see her tomorrow popping in, because when you mention crazy, Destinie always shows up. So
Exactly.
She knows that she's always welcome.
Yes, exactly.
Destinie, do you have anything going on this weekend you want to share?
I believe I'm going to be on tomorrow night with Miss Kim. Otherwise, tomorrow morning we will be on Norgus R's channel for Fun Friday Hat Day.
Cool.
Darlene is awesome.
Yes, and then Saturday, Tommy and I are going to be walking through our flea market live. And he's going to be talking a little bit about the thing that he's got going on with Derek for the flea market every Saturday during the summer. So I know a little bit about it, but not a whole lot. I just know that we will be going live on his channel Saturday morning at what time? About 8:30 a.m. Central Time. So keep your eyes open for that, because he'll be able to explain more about that on Saturday.
Great. And John?
Keep on keeping on. Life's a garden. Dig it.
Are you doing now? John does a lot of videos, but you don't do any scheduled lives, right? Yet?
No, I don't really do a whole lot of live stuff.
Right. But you're planning to do something probably in the future once the shop is open.
I'm hoping Craig will graciously allow my presence on his morning show whenever I do get the shop open. He approached me about it like the true gentleman he is, but I had to deny because I'm not in a place right now to where I can be, YouTube is great, but YouTube, I'm not Jeremy. That dude's making bank. I'm not. I wish I was as good looking as him and could play guitar, but I can't. But like, honestly, so like YouTube is when I can do it, and I make a video every other day at this point. But whenever I get into the shop, I'll have a lot more free time, and there'll be a little bit more content, interaction with customers as they come in, like kind of like a cross between, Antiques Roadshow, Pawn Stars, and American Pickers. So there'll be more. Just subscribe and hit that thumbs up or thumbs down. Either way, I don't care.
Well, John, don't undercut yourself. I've watched your channel, and you're growing. I mean, you're close to hitting 4,000, and you got a good steady pace, and that's something to be proud of. So
yeah.
I have my Saturday show that I do, the Late Show, 11 o'clock East Coast time every Saturday. I usually bring on a panel of people, and it is a little bit laid back, but we still talk about some unique things. I have friends, Eric, Nameless Picker, and Jason Banana Finds, that have a lot of experience in different things that people aren't selling. And
great guys, smart guys.
Right, and I'll be honest, I've met them in person. I've gone and hung out with Jason a couple times now, and I'm glad to call him a great friend. That's what I like about YouTube, is having the ability to. I wish the Angels lived closer, but maybe they don't, because I'd probably be over there every day bugging them. But I'm hoping one day to kind of run into them. So, but I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next Thursday. And I hope to see some of you guys tomorrow in Kimberly's and Saturday on my show. So have a great night, guys. Bye.
Good night.